There are shows with psychics.
And there are shows with doctors.
But there's no show like The Psychic and the Doc.
Your practical paranormal power unleashed.
This show synthesizes the talents of world-class medium Mark Anthony, the psychic lawyer, psychic explorer,
and street smart spiritualist, behavioral psychologist, Dr. Pat Basile. All subjects are on the table and no topic is taboo. Inspiration, insight,
action, and fun as Mark Anthony connects callers with loved ones in spirit.
In tandem with Dr. Pat's fresh, no-nonsense, street smart, intuitive insights. And she is hilarious.
Extraordinary problems
require extraordinary solutions, which may come from this side
or the other side. This is The Psychic
and the Doc, and it starts now. Welcome, everyone, to the Transformation Network. This is The Psychic and the Doc. I'm Mark Anthony, the Psychic. My amazing co-host, Dr. Pat Basile, world-renowned behavioral psychologist, is unable to make it tonight, but standing in for her is the one and only Rockin' Rocky Trainer, our producer. And Rocky, for those of you who've been to my events throughout the country, she's my business manager as well and travels with me. So Rocky, thanks for being aboard tonight.
Well, it's my pleasure, and what a great show we're going to have this evening. And welcome everyone who's listening and watching around the world. We have a great guest, and I'm going to let Mark introduce her, but I'm so thrilled to be here. And for all of you who want to call in, we might take calls. Actually, we will take calls near the end of the show. So stay involved in the show right now because we have some great things to share.
Thanks, Rocky. And for the people who call in, you know, of course, I'll do readings, but you can also ask our very special guest some questions. Let me tell you a little bit about our guest. Sherianna Boyle is the founder of Emotional Detox Coaching. She's the creator of the Cleanse Method and author of the Emotional Detox book series. Sherianna is the host of Just Ask Spirit radio show and is an adjunct professor of psychology who's been teaching yoga for 25 years. She must have started when she was 4 because she doesn't look like she's been teaching for 25 years. Sherianna is a regular contributor to Spirituality and Health magazine. Her new book, and it's amazing, I've just been devouring it, is Energy in Action. The subtitle is The Power of Emotions and Intuition to Cultivate Peace and Freedom. And her book, Energy in Action, was just released on May 2nd. So we are so excited to have you, Sherianna. Welcome to The Psychic and the Doc.
Thank you. Thanks for the warm welcome. And
Oh,
you're the second person who used the word devouring, which interests me.
Okay, why does that interest you?
I'm just like, I've never... Second person,
it's
I'm
delicious. It's
I'm
stuff we need.
Yeah, I read a lot of books. I've written 3 books. I write articles. I've been writing my whole life. And there's some books that I have to trudge through. And then there's others that really pique my interest. And I think devouring a book, obviously devour means eat, but devouring, the way I look at it is I'm so engrossed in it. I want to find out what happens next. So the title of the book, Energy in Action.
Yeah.
What is energy in action?
Well, I didn't think it was such a big deal at the time until the publisher said, you've got to title this book Energy in Action. It's how I define manifesting. So I define manifesting as energy in action. So we're always manifesting something. I always say it's not like an on and off switch. It's just a matter of whether our energy is moving or not. So sure, I can manifest on energy that's not moving very much, and that might end up okay. But to really produce or manifest, bring something into the physical, that you do need your energy and movement. And as you know, I've been writing about emotions for so many years now, that to me, I felt like it was an area that we just kind of skim. We focus a lot on thoughts when it comes to manifesting, And for me, it's like the emotions are the bigger part of it.
All right, when you say bot, hold on. I want to ask this question, then we'll go right to yours, Rocky. Bots. When you said we let bots, what do you mean by that?
I don't know what I meant by that. Mark, did I just say mispronounce something? But I think I was going to say, but we over focus on thoughts.
Oh, thoughts. I thought,
Yes.
it was weird because, all right, I got to explain something to the listeners before we went
I'm
live.
like, what's ba?
Well, we were having a discussion about AI, artificial intelligence,
Oh,
and
okay.
I thought, oh my God, bots, as in robots, are taking over. So no, robots are not taking over, at least not yet. So
Yeah.
we focus on thoughts, but what
Yes.
you're talking about is emotions. Okay, now I have cleared. All right, this is
Yes.
not a robotic invasion. Not on the Psychic and the Doc.
No.
Mark, I hear you. I'm constantly having to have people like, what? What did you say?
What are you saying to me?
What was that? Okay. So yeah, we tend to over focus on our thoughts. At least many of the teachings that I've experienced, of course, I've experienced them all, taught us how to focus on our thoughts. And for me, coming from this world of emotions, I was like, I feel like we really need to be focusing more on our emotions to be manifesting. So that's how Energy in Action came to be, the title.
Okay, Rocky, you had a question.
Well, people interfere with their manifesting. What do you do to guide them to manifest and reach their potential of manifesting forward in a positive way?
So what often happens with manifesting is the first thing that I think a lot of people think about, and what I've kind of tuned into as a coach, is people talk about what they want, right? They say, okay, here, I want to manifest. I want to manifest the love of my life. I want to manifest a better job. I want to manifest money. I want to manifest my dream home. And that's interesting to me when I hear that, because as an emotional detox coach, what comes up in me is, okay, is the fact that they want this an early subtle sign that they're in a state of reactivity, right? So what I mean by that is a reaction is how we make the uncomfortable comfortable.
Okay.
Right? And very often what we do is we come up with these mechanisms, whether they're conditioned or we have these habits of suppressing and burying our emotions, minimizing our emotions, right?
Yes.
So what kind of comes up in my mind when I hear someone say, well, I want this, I want that. And I've done that myself tons of times. But then I had to really look at, okay, is the fact that I want something, there's got to be a part of me that feels like this isn't good enough, right? Which could be a reaction, might be a story, right? That I'm telling myself, or that I lack something in some way, or I'm not getting there. I've got to have narratives and stories. So for me, what gets in the way is they override their emotions. So what I try to do is kind of slow people down and say, okay, there's like a little tiny opening in there. If we can just get in that little crack, there's a lot of emotions to be processed. So, when I feel like I'm not getting anywhere in life, it makes me feel, and then I have the cleanse system, which is in the book, Energy in Action, that Mark's read. And so you go through that system, which is all mindful, and you process your emotions. And then after you process your emotion, energy is now in motion. So energy is in action. And then whatever it is that you're looking to create, let's call it a creation now, very often shifts, Rocky. So it's not like I'm trying to make them do it different. I'm just guiding them through a process
To evolve.
to see where they end up. And now we're going to go with what feels right, intuition, because they might be a little ahead of themselves, quite frankly.
Right.
Right. A lot of people go a little bit too far out, and it's almost like there are steps, like we are souls on the planet, We are evolving. There are things to learn along the way. And absolutely, we are creative beings, and we can create, the spiritual laws of the universe, which this book, Energy in Action, is based on 13 spiritual laws. They tell us we have unlimited, infinite potential.
You brought up a very interesting point that spoke to me very loudly. You're talking about how our emotions get in the way and people have difficulty processing them. And what I see in my work as a medium is that, and in grieving, men have a very difficult time, first off, admitting that we have emotions, which we all do. Secondly, processing them. In grief, men have a very difficult time expressing their grief. It doesn't mean that we don't feel it, because we certainly do. So do you find with your approach to working with emotions before thoughts, is there a difference in the approach as it applies to women and as it applies to men, or is it the same? Or what have you noticed in working with men versus women?
Well, as soon as I let men know they're not going to have to actually talk about their feelings, they actually give me a chance.
Okay. Very good approach. Very good approach.
I'm going to help you, teach you how to process your emotions. And guess what? You actually don't have to talk about them. Okay, I'm open. In fact,
Wow.
I recommend that you do as little talking as possible. Now, it's not to say that we don't talk about things. So there is a part of that. I say feel first, then talk. So it cleanse first, which is, again, in the book, cleanse first. And then if necessary, I'm going to be honest with you, if necessary, talk about it. Because very often when we start to feel, all of a sudden, the energy goes into motion, it goes into action. Now you're in a different vibrational state, and you're like, I don't really need to talk about that anymore. Let's talk about something else. let's talk about and it's usually a little bit more uplifting, a little bit more with connection, a little bit more with compassion, forgiveness, understanding, empathy. Now we're in a whole different place. Instead of you did this, you did that, you're always like this. None of that happens after you process your emotions.
Right.
What's wonderful. Yeah, I've seen emotions are such powerful. It's energy. Emotions are energy. Thoughts are energy. But emotions are so powerful. They're so visceral and primeval. I mean, you look at a baby. Babies are pure emotion, and as they begin to evolve, then that's when the thought processes come in. I think that's really fascinating. How did you come up with all this? What was your motivation, or inspiration rather? What was your inspiration for this, Sherianna?
Well, I think again, I've written 3 books on emotional detox, and I came up with the cleanse system way back in 2017, and I've been using it as the foundation for my emotional detox coaching ever since. And I was really just guided to take that next step, which was I do the cleanse every day. I really practice what I preach. So I move through the steps of the cleanse every single morning. And it's interesting because years ago, I was trained in quantum healing, and I was doing a lot of healing and meeting with people. And I decided to just put it aside. I was guided. I need to put this aside, take a break from it, just focus on emotions. I'm a big fan of don't try to be everything, don't try to have many hats. And so
Which is hard.
Yeah. It's like I was doing quantum healing, and then I'm researching emotions, writing about emotions. So I just did that solely. And then I'm cleansing one day, and I'm sitting, and this is the other part of energy in action, is what I was guided to do was now to start bringing in light. And so there's 52 cleanse practices in energy in action. There's 13 rays of light. So really, and so I was like, oh, that's interesting. Now everything's going to come together. It's like I needed to kind of focus on one area. And now because I had been working in the light for so long as a quantum healer, And I'm like, okay, now I get this. I understand what's happening here. And it was like, if I tried to teach that before, I was just going to go like this. People are going to be like, what the hell is she doing? Right. And it needed a very solid structure. I'm a big fan of consistency and structure because that's how we
Yes.
change the brain. We need consistency.
So,
We need some structure. And even the spiritual laws teach us that. I was guided to create the system based on the laws. So every single chapter, there's a spiritual law, there are cleanses, and then there are specific rays of light. Then I was guided, okay, now you got to create a system. So like, for example, if somebody says to me, so what do you think of the law of attraction? And you know what comes in my mind, according to my system? I think yellow ray of light. So I
wow.
don't actually think about it in words anymore. I connect it with light. I think, oh, that's the yellow ray of light.
And
So
That's
go ahead, Rocky.
that's so fascinating, because if you think about when people give flowers, certain colors of flowers mean certain things. And yellow is like friendship. It's happy, it's glorious, it's uniting with so many. So that's such a beautiful way to put it. And I recommend everyone get all three of her books, because this will help you grow. It will
Yeah.
help you grow into a more whole person. And between you and Mark, your books alone will just enrich so many people's lives. It's just amazing. When you talk about your emotions and how you manifest a life of joy and ease, this is fabulous. This is what people are looking for, especially after this pandemic.
They are. And we're taking calls from listeners. If you want to ask Sherianna a question about emotional detox, emotional cleansing, and the call-in number is 1-800-930-2819. And Sherianna, how can people find out more about you and get hold of you? What's your website?
it's sheriannaboyle.com, and you'll see all my books, and I have courses there and all sorts of stuff. And so the way that usually people ask questions, because I am tricky, okay, I get that. I will fully admit, people are like, I'm not really sure what you do. Okay. I don't really know what I do either, to be honest with you. I just like Mark, I just work with energy, right?
Right.
But usually there's two avenues. One is the avenue of they come in, I feel stuck, I feel lack of purpose in my life, or I'm in crisis, or my relationships are falling apart, or there's instability in my life in some way, maybe a health issue, probably similar to you, Mark, in terms of people coming to you,
Right.
or then they come in through the other door. I really want to manifest this, right? And
Yes.
can you tell me what's getting in the way? Can you help guide me? And so I tap into spirit, but I don't talk to dead people like Mark.
Well, there's a lot of frequencies out there,
Yeah.
and we're all capable of tuning into different frequencies, and that's one of the things that I explain in my books. And when reading yours, I saw that as well. And there was something that you just said that I was particularly intrigued by. Chapter 3, what gets in the way of manifesting.
Yeah.
And it seems, without meaning to, people tend to be their own worst enemies, or adversaries, rather. Would you say that that is an accurate statement?
I think yes, absolutely. And I think what gets in the way is we judge our attractions. So we attract things in our lives, right? And that's what the spiritual law of attraction many of the teachings around that teach us, although I tell you it's yellow. It's yellow ray of light to me. But the teachings say, we attract negative and positive, right? But then the laws are like a family. They balance each other out, or the chakra system, right? If one chakra is a little off, another one might get influenced by that one being off, or another one might work on overdrive because that one's off. So the laws kind of work together in that way. When one's a little out of sync, then another one kicks in. And ideally, we want to live harmoniously with the spiritual laws of the universe. And that's a big part of energy in action. But I think they judge their attractions, meaning, okay, I'm doing all this manifesting stuff. I've got my vision board. I'm writing things down. I'm saying my affirmations. And now this idiot walks into my life. Damn.
Right.
Right. And it's like,
Yeah.
that's a judgment of your attraction.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point.
Right.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yes.
They judge their attractions. It's an attraction. So if I,
Interesting.
yeah.
No, keep going. I
Yeah.
love this. Go ahead.
So, I mean, what do? Well, then you cleanse. I mean, that they're coming in, this is coming in because there's something in you to be healed. And there's probably an emotion in you that they're bringing up, like a trigger. So you get triggered. Oh, they're not what I want. Right. So, okay, let's explore that and see what emotion that is being covered up here through the situation. And in the end, if you cleanse it, if you process them, then you're going to realize, oh, that was all for me, right? That's how the for me thing happens. A lot of people say it's happening for you. And you're like, yeah, I know it's happening for me, but you really don't feel it and understand it and know it until you work through the emotions. And then you're like, oh yeah, that was for me. And I get it's very painful if somebody has lost a loved one. They're like, come on, they just want to like stick the middle finger at me. And I totally get that. But the spiritual laws, they tell us that we're going to go spiritual law of polarity. We are going to have the opposite experiences of what we want sometimes, right? Right. It is the spirit. We are spiritual beings first. And the laws are almost like a guidebook. Guess what? You're going to go into polarity sometimes. Sometimes you're going to be the opposite of what you want, but that's okay because you can head for the other direction and get back. Work with the law of rhythm for a little bit and you'll get that. Or work with the law of vibration a little bit and you'll get that. But at the core of it all, you have to feel there's no shortcuts around emotions. There has to be some emotional processing. And I'm saying you don't have to talk about it, but you do have to feel it.
Yes.
So the cleanse takes you through the process and it's really sticky. I mean, even I have to say, okay, don't answer. So the second step of the cleanse is how I feel in my body right now is, and it really trains you to breathe. So we answer it with a breath, inhale, exhale. Right. And when it's the anniversary of my loved one, or when I know the anniversary of my loved one is coming up, it makes me feel inhale, exhale. We want to go to those stories, right? And they're sticky, but the more you do it and practice, and then you pour on those rays of light because they're overseen by spiritual masters and archangels, they are like supreme beings, supreme energy. And they're like, when I say inner strength on a physical level, that's one thing. You're like, yeah, you got inner strength, right? You're confident, you can speak up for yourself. But when you talk about inner strength on another level of consciousness, you can't even compare the two.
And in your breathing, maybe you could tell our viewers, and I'm just going to ask this, you inhale good, exhale out the stress and the bad, correct? Am I correct on this?
Well, there's so many variations of breathing, and that's what a lot of my private coaching does is I get intuitive guidance on how they should breathe because it's not all one-stop shopping breath work.
Right,
because,
right.
Hold on, hold that.
Yeah.
Let's take a breath because breathing is so important in so many different aspects of our life. And we're going to revisit or come back after the break. So we're going to take a short break. This is the Psychic and the Doc. I'm Mark Anthony. Dr. Pat will be back next week, but I'm here with Rocky, my co-host, and our amazing guest, Sherianna Boyle. Yeah, Sherianna Boyle, author of Energy in Action, and we'll be coming back after the break. This is a call-in show. If you have a question for Sherianna, me, or Rocky, call 1-800-930-2819, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to the Psychic and the Doc here on the Transformation Network. I'm Mark Anthony, JD, Psychic Explorer. My co-host, Dr. Pat Baccili, will be back next week. but I'm here with my co-host this week, Rocky, and we're having a fascinating discussion with the author of the new hit book, Energy in Action. And the author is Sherianna Boyle. And before we went to break, we were talking about, or rather, Sherianna was talking about the importance of breathing. Now, we all know that we got to breathe. Everybody gets that. But this is breathing techniques, which are tied into her emotional detox series, her latest book of which, Energy in Action. So, Sherianna, can you tell us about the importance of breathing with the lessons that you're teaching?
Sure. So in the cleanse, do you mind if I start? It's just such a habit of me. I start at the top of the cleanse. Okay. So
go right ahead.
Cleanse is the
Yeah.
seven.
What did Barry Poppins say? We have to start at the beginning.
We have to start at the top, right?
Are you gonna sing a song for us? No, I'm just kidding. All right.
To the top, right? And I think breathing is great. I just love it in the way it flows, and you'll see how it flows in the cleanse system. So either Mark or Rocky, do you want to sort of be the person who, I mean,
Sure,
we can all do it. You'll
Okay,
be
Rocky will do it. That way I can,
Okay.
be the
So,
observer.
the first step of the cleanse is, there's many, many variations by this, with this, by the way, is really toning your vagus nerve. So we're going to do a very simple variation, which would be just drop your right ear to your right shoulder, Rocky and Mark, if you want to as well.
Okay.
And then your eyes go down towards the floor. So rather than looking straight, because if you just don't know what to do with your eyes, you're going to find that you're distracted and in your head thinking, right? But if my eyes go down to the floor, I can be more present, interrupts thought, and allows me to just get that stretch. I hold it for about 5 seconds. Everybody listening or watching, bring your head back to center in the midline, and automatically you might start to go to an inhale a little bit. Do you feel that come in?
Automatically.
Yes.
Yeah.
Automatically.
Good. And
Yeah.
that's sometimes it's delayed. So those of you who are like, nothing happened, it was probably delayed a little bit, and that's okay. It's just you're not used to it. All right. So left ear, left shoulder, or you're thinking left ear, left shoulder. Let's do the other side. Eyes go down again to increase presence and interrupt the thoughts. And we just hold that for about 5 seconds and relax your shoulders. And then we're going to bring the head back to center. And you'll feel the body has a pretty positive response to that, right? It gets that nice oxygen, brings that inhale, right? So that's a good thing. We want to notice in between. I talk a lot about noticing, observing in the book. Observe and notice the bodily response, because that's your cue. It's not going to be your head saying, okay, go to step 2. It's going to be your body having a positive response, like breathing or relaxation. And then you feel, it's time to move to the second step. Okay. If I didn't have that, I would repeat it. So then repeat after me. We're in the L, Rocky. How I feel in my body right now is, say that.
How I feel in my body
right now is.
Right now is.
And then just breathe. Don't answer. I know we want to. See how we're so trained? Inhale and exhale. And everybody else can say that too. And there's the breath part. Okay. Now I'm not going to tell you how to breathe this first round, because one, you're getting your feet wet. If I start talking to you about how to breathe, what's going to happen? You're going to start thinking. Right. And I'm trying to get you to feel. So down the road, I might teach you a little bit more, but right now, say it again. How I feel in my body right now is. Say that. How I feel
right now in my body is.
And then everybody does inhale and exhale. Right. And there's many variations of that. So let's, we could play with this in terms of, we'll just play to the now, Rocky. And because I'm imagining you didn't know that you were coming on today. Did you know you were going to substitute?
No.
Okay. Okay. And I know that you got locked out of your place today.
Yes.
By accident. Okay. So then you might say, And when I realized we were locked out, say that.
When I realized I was locked out.
It made me feel. Yes, exactly. It made me feel.
Ah,
Say that. It made me feel.
it made me feel.
Don't answer it. Breathe. Inhale. And exhale. Now, it's not that we don't know emotions aren't there, right? Probably it was a little panicky feeling there for a moment, little frustration, right? Yeah, but just breathe in and breathe out. And now we're going to do the third step of the cleanse, which is emit with the hum mantra, okay? Which is mantra of enlightenment. What are you humming? You're humming the panic, the nervousness, maybe even a little anxiety from that moment, right? A little fear, like, oh my God, Mark's going to kill me. I'm not available at the moment, right? So we're just going to hum that. Any kind of stories that you told yourself, any thoughts that came up, we're going to hum all of that because they're bearing the emotions, right? So we're going to inhale, do one hum together. Tongue on the roof of the mouth when you hum, and let the tongue fall to the bottom of the mouth as you release it, like a wet leaf. So again, tongue on the roof of the mouth, that hits the hypothalamus of the brain. Inhale, tongue on the roof, hum. So it vibrates the top of the roof of the mouth, and then release and relax. Let the tongue fall to the bottom of the mouth as you breathe. Okay. So just kind of allowing that energy to move, the energy, all of those reactions to go into action, which is going to help lift their vibration, right? It's like peeling a banana or something like that. Okay. So now, Rocky, what color's popping in? First thing off the top of your head. Don't think about it. Color.
Pink.
Light or dark?
Light.
Okay.
Happy. Yes.
Light pink.
Light
Light pink is the law of detachment.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we're going to go to the crown of the head. You're going to picture that beautiful pink ray of light, which carries energy of creativity, patience, divine love. And it's going to help you to align with the law of detachment, right? All right. So we're going to inhale. And I like to hum with it. Hum. We got the beautiful pink ray of light coming down upon us now. And this is, again, connected to spiritual guides and masters. So we're going to feel the frequency of this energy coming in. Let's make sure we bring it down to Mother Earth so that anybody who experienced a little panic today or nervousness or worry or something unexpected, that they too receive this beautiful pink ray of light and they too feel a shift in their body, in their energy field, and feel the divine love, patience, and creativity coming through. And now just breathe. And now we're in so that was the N, the nourish with the light. We nourish in light. The S is surrender. So that is I allow. I allow detachment. Now you know what you're allowing. I allow detachment. Say that.
I allow detachment.
Yeah, good. Yeah. Yep. I allow letting go.
I allow letting go.
Yeah. I allow relinquish.
I allow relinquish.
I allow trust.
I allow trust.
And I allow peace.
I allow peace.
Good. And then I am peace. This is the E. Yeah, last. Yeah. I am detachment.
I am detachment.
I am letting go.
I am letting go.
I am relinquishing.
I'm relinquishing.
I am present.
I am present.
And I am free. And I am free.
And I am free.
Yeah.
I had to take an extra breath. It was so good.
Yeah, that was beautiful. Yeah. And now you're
Y-
lined up with the law of detachment, which we know
Oh,
when we're attached, we suffer. So you can let it go, honey. And you just transformed something into higher energy. And you're living in alignment as a spiritual being on this planet and helping others while
love
you're at
it.
it. Yay. So that's,
I,
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
I have to interject here. I was doing it along with the two of you, and I feel so relaxed right now. And the thing is, as a medium and in
Yeah.
my spiritual practices, I meditate and I have to do a lot of meditations. But I have to say, that was one of the most powerful and empowering meditations in a very compact period of time. And I find that, see, I'm not one of these people that's going to sit there and meditate for hours on end, like, I'm a busy guy. And what I really like about what you're teaching here, Sherianna, is this is something that everybody can do and everybody can fit into their busy schedules. I mean, everybody, well, that whole time frame probably took what, about 5 or 6 minutes.
5 minutes. Yeah.
5 minutes. Okay, I think everybody listening can take a whole 5 minutes out of their day for themselves.
Yeah.
Think about what we go through in a day. Our best hours during the day are at work. All
Yeah.
right. And if you don't like your job, that makes it even more difficult. Then you get home and is it just me, me, me? Oh, you got family, you got relationships, you got all this. So that's very, very important. So Rocky, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I'm thinking of all the little places you can put it in your day. You could do it at your desk. If you're on a train or a bus, you could do that. Not while you're driving, but
Yeah, I was going to say, being the
not while you're
former
driving.
prosecutor
We're not
and
gonna have-
criminal defense lawyer, please do not do
No.
this when you're driving.
No.
Pull over, park
Yeah.
somewhere, and you can do that. Because I've also found that parking, if you're grieving, your car is your inner sanctum. So go park somewhere. You can cry. You can do Sherianna's meditation. You can have your own thoughts, and then when you come back, then you drive. Then you drive. So I just wanted to
I
make
was
sure I put
thinking
that
in the shower. In the shower, you're cleaning, washing away, and doing that for just a few moments. Wow, that could be amazing.
Well,
I want to,
yeah, go ahead.
Sherianna. Well, I was going to ask you, in chapter 6, the law of vibration.
Yeah.
You write, the law of vibration teaches that everything in the universe is in constant motion. Therefore, nature does not intend for anything to be in a static state. Tell us about how you came to understand the law of vibration and how that understanding, that knowledge, can be applied to our daily lives.
Well, I think that, again, you talk about the law of vibration. What comes up for me is white light, white ray of light. That's the first thing that pops in. And now it's like, it just pops in, through my spiritual sight, as well as in the habit. So that helps me to really connect to it. Cause I think that when you say to people, okay, well, everything is vibration, everything moves, nothing rests. So that means you can never really be stuck. And people get that, but then they don't really know how to incorporate that into their life, right? So they often, the way I see it in people is they feel powerless, right?
Yeah.
And again, when they feel powerless, that's when all those stories and narratives are going to kick in. And so really learning how to work with the laws, learning how to work with energy and your emotions, and connecting to help. I just helped someone today who was feeling powerless. They were waiting for a phone call. It was a very important phone call. And they needed this person to call to be able to do the next step. So it's like one of those things, like somebody's not doing their part. So it's like holding up the line kind of thing. So what we ended up discovering was this sense of powerlessness, because it really felt stuck. And he was feeling like, and it was a man. Imagine that, talking about his feelings. And so, once we started to clear, it was like, you can also use this in creative ways. So the way I will use it, like if I feel like I'm, someone's not communicating with me or something. The spiritual laws of the universe, like the law of polarity says, will focus on the opposite, right? So then I might go into a cleanse and I might do again, you always start with step 1 because you want to be respectful to your body, okay? You don't want to treat your body like it's a means to an end, right?
Right.
And the spiritual laws also teach us that as well. They're not a recipe for what you want. They are based on ancient, and Mark, I know this is your area of really going in. I mean, these laws come from 5,000 years ago,
Yeah.
and they were oral teachings. And I think the thing that I really appreciate them is they're based on ethics. They have ethics, they have morality, not in morality in religious sense.
Right.
What we're used to. In fact, they didn't want anyone to claim the laws. Like, we came up with the laws, we own the spiritual laws, because they didn't want the ego, right? Didn't want it to become
right.
church, like this is ours and this So it was kind of brilliant, that this happened over 5,000 years ago, these oral teacher students, and then they were written in the Upanishads and,
Right.
and all that. So,
Yes.
so the point is we have to remember to respect them, right?
Yes.
And not treat the laws as well as ourselves, because the laws tell us we're energy beings. So I
Right.
always start with that's a long answer for always start with step 1. But what I would, I always connect to the light, always.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
find that people, like, if they say, okay, if I realize they're feeling stuck, law of vibration, I know they're not stuck. They don't know they're not stuck. But I know the white ray of light is going to be a great place for them to connect, right? And the laws teach us that we're infinite beings and that the joy is in the infinite, not the finite. And if we get caught up on the phone call and the process and the tasks and the work thing, we're in the finite. So in my mind, I know I need to get this person to the infinite, connected to their infinite selves, and then start to be creative, because we're creative beings. So I might even say something, and now that you've called me, and now that, you made the phone call, it makes me feel. Breathe in, breathe out. Making a connection with you makes me feel. And now that we've got the ball rolling, it makes me feel. Now I'm functioning as an infinite spiritual being who I'm almost like magical, right? Don't get stuck in what you see in the physical. Go up, connect to your higher self. We're all connected with the law of oneness. So just call them in a different way.
What I love, how you're explaining this and the way you're illustrating it and bringing it home, you are showing people how quantum physics can be part of their daily life. Vibration, everything's in motion, energy's in motion, we're all interconnected, everything vibrates from a subatomic level on up. And it's always nice to read that and understand it in the scientific and theoretical sense, but to see it now applied to where it actually makes a difference in your life. And so for anyone just tuning in, we're with author Sherianna Boyle. She is the creator of Emotional Detox series, and her latest book is Energy in Action. Sherianna, how can people find out about you and not only get your books, but sign up for anything that you're coaching and what you're doing?
Sure. It's one-stop shopping. It's sheriannaboyle.com. Everything is there. The books are there. The coaching's there. I did create an Energy in Action course. I've never done that, Mark. I've never written a book and created a course in the same time.
It's a lot of work, isn't it?
I was like, I can't believe I'm doing this, but it's just the information kept channeling, and I was like, the book's written. I got to do this has got to go somewhere, and I'm just going to put it into the course. So what you'll get with the course, Energy in Action course, is I record audios of the spiritual laws, what they mean, how you can work with them in your daily lives. You need the book to do the course because I want you to cleanse. And I'm not going to do the cleanses because they're in the book. So it's going to be, it's in addition to the book. So you use the book for the emotional cleanses, and then you use the course. And then I give 13 ray of light guided meditations with high vibrational music and some video there that are high vibrational. So anyway, that's all there. And then I teach yoga. Rocky, you mentioned it, I think during the break. I teach yoga
Yes.
every week on Zoom. And
That's fantastic.
we cleanse in every class.
You do hatha yoga, yes?
I do,
Hatha?
yeah. It's a mix. I mean, I'm in, I'm 52, so I got to move. I can't just, I got to move my body. So
Absolutely.
and I feel like we all have to move. So I do add a little bit of cardio for like 10 minutes. We got to like kick it for a little bit. And then we move into some yoga. Then we might do some breath work. Then we might do some deeper stretch. Then we got to work our core. But all along, I'm asking spirit what we're cleansing. Okay, what are we cleansing today? So I never pre-decide my classes. I always in the moment say, okay, spirit, what do they need to cleanse? And that's how I connect to spirit, as I ask, what would be the greatest and highest interest for this group? What do they need to cleanse? And it's like, okay, I guess today we're cleansing judgment. I guess today we're cleansing resentment or whatever it is. And we get sort of this whole approach to it.
You're a bright light. You are a bright light.
Yeah, and I find it
bright light.
very interesting when you're asked questions about the vibration and how you respond in color, because colors all have different frequencies, and this is all part, and they're all in the electromagnetic spectrum. So I find that very interesting because I was relating to that, because many times, like during a reading, when I'm doing a reading for somebody connecting with their loved ones in spirit, and the spirit will project to me a color. And I'll say to somebody like, what does yellow mean to you? And most people get, every now and then I get I don't know, but usually people will say, oh, yellow. Yeah, it makes me think of birthday cake, happy. And then they go, oh, my favorite birthday was when my mother gave me this yellow cake, da-da-da-da-da-da. And it's their mother communicating, And when you said the white light, that when spirits project the white light, that is the higher frequencies of the other side. That's just a wonderful thing. When people, a spirit will come through and say to their loved ones, I am in the white light. You can call that nirvana, heaven, paradise. And so I found that very interesting, the way you respond to that. It's so fascinating that those of us who are in the spiritual fields, even though we are practicing different aspects of it, and even though we may have different vernacular, we're all really describing the same thing. And I think that's amazing.
It is amazing. And it's, I talk about this in the book, and this is one of my favorite parts about working with the laws and energy and emotions in this way. Is I asked a young man once, I think he was about 13, and I asked him how he felt. And he just kind of went like this, looked up. And I was like, your feelings aren't up in your head, silly. And he was like, well, I don't know. And I was like, okay, can you picture color green? And he was like, yep. And this moment I asked him to picture green, his eyes went from up here, like, what do I feel, to right with that gaze, that nice, it went out. And it was like, he was so fast connected. And I was like, how's it feel? And he said, calming. And I was like, that's the green ray of light. You feel it? He's like, yep. How's it feel? He could talk all about his feelings. And it was like that.
And it's fascinating because green is a very tranquil and healing color. So you brought him into that frequency. Wow, Sherianna, we're going to have you back.
This is so fun. I wish people got readings, though. I was hoping to be a little bit of a spectator.
Well, that'll be next time. That'll be next time.
Awesome.
Speaking of energy and frequency, I invite everyone to sign up for my newsletter on my website, afterlifefrequency.com. I've got some events coming up on June 10th and 11th. I'm one of 33 speakers at the Spiritual Awakenings International 2023 online conference, which will be streaming worldwide. So please go to my website, my calendar of events. You can find out about that. For people who want to get a copy of Sherianna Boyle's latest book, Energy in Action, go to Sheriannaboyle.com. I want to make sure that we spell it right. SHERIANNABOYLE.com. And
Yeah.
I want to thank everyone for tuning in. This has just been this hour went by way too fast. I mean, we could keep going, and I want to thank Rocky for tuning in, and we look forward to our show next week. Mother's Day is this Sunday, so everybody, please call your mom. Just don't text her if you can't see her in person. Pick up a phone, do FaceTime, listen to her voice. My article in Best Holistic Life magazine for May is a Mother's Day article called Mom, the Hardest Job in the World. And I'll be back next week. We have a very special episode entitled Super Mom, and we're going to have a super mom guest on. And this is the Psychic and the Doc on the Transformation Network. Thank you, Sherianna. Thank you, Rocky. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. God bless and namaste.
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 Hey, everybody, thank you for tuning into the Psychic and the Doc with Mark Anthony and me, Dr. Pat Basile, right here on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Hey, look, come back next week so we can explore with you more of life's many challenges and learn from fascinating guests. And you know what? Even Mark and me. We'll connect you and discover insights from people in this life and from the afterlife. Extraordinary problems? Yeah, they do. They require extraordinary solutions. But step into the world of possibilities with us on the Psychic and the Doc. That's every Thursday, 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on TransformationTalkRadio.com. That's TransformationTalkRadio.com. And don't forget, we're also live face-to-face on Facebook.com, Transformation Talk Radio.